almost 3-3-3.
Welcome to ESPN's Champ Week, presented by Principal and the 2019 New York Life ACC Tournament. After a 3-year absence, this tournament has returned to the heart of ACC territory in the state of North Carolina. Tonight, the 14th-seeded Pitt Panthers taking on the 11th seed Boston College. First time these two old Big East rivals have met in ACC tournament play. This is the final game of the first day of the ACC tournament. Earlier here at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte, Miami able to advance. Anthony Lawrence, a double-double, 20 points and 10 rebounds as the Hurricanes knock out Wake Forest. And then Notre Dame, behind John Mooney, the ACC leader in double-doubles, they held off a furious second-half rally from Georgia Tech to advance to take on Louisville tomorrow night. The winner of our game will get Syracuse, 9 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow night on ESPN2. And look at that second round on Wednesday, a distinct old Big East flavor for sure, including the winner of our game tonight, Boston College and Pittsburgh. Glad to have you with us. Reese Davis and LaFonso Ellis here at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte. When you play on Tuesday night in the ACC tournament, your season didn't go just as you had hoped and dreamed. However, Boston College has one of the most electrifying and complete players in the country.
Kai Bowman can really get it at all three levels. This kid's shooting 36% from the three on the year. Very comfortable behind the line. I love the patience and poise that he plays with. Look at that, folks. 4th in the ACC in scoring, but this is where he's at his best. As he throws it down over the top. He has terrific vision, especially when he gets into the lane area. And how about almost 8 rebounds for a guy who's 6'1" in the ACC. And Xavier Johnson has to be really good tonight. He's the team leading scorer at 16 points per game, held in single digits in the last game. If Pitt's going to win this game, he's got to be extraordinary tonight.
Young players for Pitt and a fresh start for both teams, just about set to tip it off the night session in the ACC.
My name is Jetta, and my favorite thing about the Grilled Chicken Club is the multigrain bun. It's toasted, and then you get the cheese. So if you bite really slowly, you can literally taste every level of the sandwich. I don't eat very slowly, but if you do.
Why would you go out of your way and wander around a warehouse for paint when you can just swing by your local Ace? Ace has top-rated paint like One Coat Coverage Valspar, can match any color, and mixes it with something that's hard to find, award-winning service. Because the way we see it, if anyone is going to go out of their way,
it should be us.
It's the Ace Extra Mile Promise. If it ever takes more than one trip to complete your paint project, we'll bring you what you need, and delivery is free.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
About ready to tip in the ACC tournament, Allison Williams with BC head coach Jim Christian.
Thank you, Reese. Coach Christian, last time out, you were critical of your team's passion and energy. What did you tell them about bringing it here for the ACC tournament?
No, I don't think you have to tell them. I mean, I think they understand it's the ACC tournament. That's not who we've been. It was a shame we did that, but you got to forget it, man. Play forward for today and hopefully get a chance to play tomorrow. It's a 40-minute game today. That's all you got to worry about.
Kai Bowman does so much for this team. He plays more minutes than anybody in the country. What are a couple keys for him?
I just think he's got to play the game the right way like he always does. He's going to be the guy that, typifies how hard we compete, and he understands that, and I know he's excited to play.
Jim, thank you.
Thank you.
Allison, Jim, thank you very much. Kai Bowman, a native of the state of North Carolina from Havelock, so he'll have friends and family here. In fact, a couple of starters for Boston College tonight from North Carolina, including Jared Hamilton, who's in his home city of Charlotte and back in the lineup after dealing with an Achilles injury and not playing in the regular season finale against North Carolina State. BC has it first, controlling the opening tip, and there is Kai Bowman as you have a look at the starting 5 on the screen for the Eagles.
Nick Popovich, number 21 there for Boston College. He's going to have to establish the offense on the interior so that they don't just depend on the three-point shot tonight.
Bowman is long. Pittsburgh's leading rebounder, the freshman guard Audice Toney, got the first one, and Audice has it back in the front court, and Pitt will bounce in their step after snapping a 13-game losing streak by beating Notre Dame in the regular season finale.
Why'd you have to get that in early against my boys?
Trying to set the stage for the whole thing as you see the Pittsburgh starting lineup for Jeff Capel, who is in his first season as a head coach at Pittsburgh. The longtime Duke assistant and former head coach at VCU and Oklahoma has brought a little energy and life to a Pittsburgh program that was reeling, winless in the ACC last year. Well, he's knocked out of bounds, and Capel has his brother Jason on the bench with him. There's Jason, former North Carolina standout, former rising star at ESPN. For some inexplicable reason, traded the glamorous life of broadcasting in to go back to the bench and coach.
Well, Jeff Capel told us that he needed someone that he could really trust, and there's no one he trusts more than Jason Capel, his brother.
First bucket of the night from Nick Popovich, the 6'11 junior.
And Reese, I love that. We just talked about establishing Popovich, number 21 in gray, on the offensive end, because now they can play inside out. I love the call.
Trying to find Tony cutting to the basket, and Trey McGowan's a freshman guard, threw it away. I'm going to be saying freshman guard a lot tonight from Pitt. Xavier Johnson, Trey McGowan's, Audis Tony, all freshmen. McGowan's and Tony reclassifying to be part of Jeff Capel's first team here at Pittsburgh. Here's Bowman turning the corner.
Nice.
There's Popovich, and he left it on the front of the rim.
Got to finish those easy ones around the rim.
A deflection from Jordan Chapman, and we have a whistle.
And folks, when you catch that basketball inside, Nick Popovich is 6'11". When he catches that ball inside, what a beautiful find there by Kai Bowman. We talked about his vision in the open. He just got a little too far underneath the basket. He's got to gather, go up, and finish with a powerful dunk inside. Missed opportunity for Boston College.
Xavier Johnson was called for that foul. It's his first on Pittsburgh's leading scorer. There is Popovich, and the way he has been able to improve steadily over the course of his career at Boston College, averaging 14 points, 7 rebounds. This year. There's Bowman, there's Popovich, and Popovich attacking the rim like a sideline reporter asking Popovich a question.
Nice, but that's the way you finish. Well executed by Boston College.
That was almost Pitt's 4th turnover in 4 possessions, but it was deflected into the backcourt. McGowan's. Rebound by Chukwuka, and they swing it out to Johnson.
And Reese, I think Boston College, has to pack in the paint and force this Pitt team, who doesn't shoot the ball well from 3, to shoot it from the outside.
Johnson gets all the way to the bucket but didn't hit the rim. Now Bowman on the push. Popovich, shot fake. Good ball movement by the Eagles. And the 3 ball on the way and rolled in by Jordan Chapman, who'd been struggling, hitting just 4 of his last 17 from behind the arc. And Boston College goes up 7-0, and Pittsburgh wants to make sure this thing doesn't get away in the opening moments from Charlotte.
I can't see you guys. Hey, how is everyone? You guys are looking good.
How does your TP compare to Charmin?
Here we're going to do a fun little experiment. See what kind of toilet paper is strongest. The grocery store brand toilet paper or Charmin Ultra Strong. Who wants to put their head under?
Charmin Ultra Strong is a better paper.
Which one of these toilet papers do you think cleans better?
Charmin. Charmin cleans better. Charmin is stronger.
And a better paper means a better clean. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
You see from the look on the face of the gentleman in the Jumbotron here, it has not been a stellar start for the mighty Panthers of Pittsburgh in the first 2 minutes and 52 seconds. No points, 3 turnovers.
Yeah, you got to credit the Boston College defense, though. They're doing a great job of rotating over early, and they're doing a nice job of playing in the gaps, getting their hands on a lot of balls here early in this game.
We saw in the afternoon session, Fonz, Georgia Tech had a miserable first half, down by 20 to Notre Dame, but rallied and made a game of it at the end. So long way to go here, but not exactly the start you're looking for. Another turnover for the Panthers. That's 4 in the early going. Kai Bowman chases Popovich away. He was thinking of setting a screen. Now Popovich has it. Kenneth Chukwuka was guarding it. And Stephon Mitchell, who shot it okay from 3 previously, now just 1 of 18 on the season. By previously, I mean in previous seasons, but he has not been able to find the range this year, making just one, and you see why he's only attempted now 18.
Well, Popovich gave that ball up way too soon. He's got to make a play, get in the middle of the floor, and then look to skip it.
Xavier Johnson, and finally Pittsburgh's on the board.
And that's where Pitt is at their best, when they're attacking downhill, getting to the front of the rim. And that's a big lift there for Xavier Johnson, because Pitt has been struggling on the offensive end so far.
Hamilton, the pull up, and he knocks it down. Jared Hamilton, the Charlotte native. Younger brother Jarius on the team. We'll see him tonight. And right on cue, I believe we have Jarius headed to the scorer's table. Boston College with a quick 9-2 lead. First media timeout as Capel tries to get the Panthers together.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by New York Life. We know that life doesn't fit into any one plan, so start a plan that flexes with yours. And Snickers, you're off your game when you're hungry. Eat a Snickers.
Hey, Des.
Why Brooks? Why Glycerin?
When it comes to my shoes, I don't have to worry about them. I trust them more than I trust myself.
Star Kai Bowman from Havelock, North Carolina, and then it's about 300 miles and a cool 4-hour, 37-minute drive to the Spectrum Center. For more on Kai, let's check in with Allison Williams.
Yeah, Reese, Kai Bowman from here in North Carolina, but none of the schools here offered him a basketball scholarship. He did have a football scholarship to UNC, but he turned that down. The closest school to show any interest in him for basketball was ECU. So every time he has played against a school from North Carolina or a team from North Carolina or here in the state, he has played especially well. And he said, yeah, there's a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because he was overlooked, but more than anything, he just loves playing in front of his family who's here watching today.
Shot clock violation there, Allison. It finds you. Kai Bowman, you saw the offer that he turned down to North Carolina. Alabama was also interested, as you see Kai's family here to watch him to play football. So he decommitted from North Carolina and put all of his eggs into being able to prove that he is a top-flight Division I college basketball player. And during his 3 years so far at Boston College, he's more than done that.
No question about it. And he plays with such a passion and such a fire. And you know, oftentimes you need something to be motivated to motivate you, and that's certainly been the case for him. Feels like he was looked over, and he plays with such strong aggression out there on the floor. 19 points per game, 4th in ACC. Pretty impressive, Reese.
Well, he's the only guy in the conference in the top 10 in scoring, rebounding, and assists. The idea might be to try to get him in foul trouble if you can, but I mean, he plays almost the entire 40 minutes. He leads the nation in minutes played, more than 39 minutes per game, at least in percentage of minutes played.
Yeah.
Right at 97% of Boston College's minutes.
Yeah, I think Jim Christian does a really nice job, Boston College's coach, of playing him on the ball and then moving him off the ball. And that makes him even more difficult to guard because now he's catching that ball coming around after an exchange and able to attack the middle, as we've seen him do so far. He's been really good in ball screen pick and rolls.
Pitt's made a couple of changes. City and Deer, graduate transfer from New Mexico State, is in. That's City going to the basket and scoring. Thank you for being king of the segue, City and Deer. Malik Ellison, Purvis Ellison's son, number 3, is also checked in for Pittsburgh. And as mentioned before the break, Jarius Hamilton, Charlotte native, the freshman, just passed the ball. He's number 1, top of the key. Popovich going back to work on Terrell Brown, who's into the game, and Jared Wilson Frame, the best three-point shooter on the Pitt team, gets a rebound.
He's got to use his left hand, turn in with his right hand, put the basketball right in front of the face of the defender, and that's what made it such a difficult shot.
And a whistle and foul was called. I think it was Terrell Brown.
Yes.
They got the foul for Pittsburgh. Trey McGowan's is returning. Wilson Frame will get a break for Capel's team. 9-4 early going, final game of the first round of the ACC Tournament. Winner of this game will get Syracuse tomorrow night. Giancarlos Reyes, number 12, was checked in for Boston College. The freshman Hamilton picked up his dribble, his brother there to help him out. Garrett Hamilton has his shot blocked by Xavier Johnson. Brown saves it. Pittsburgh, other than Brown's not a great shot blocking team, but X-Man got up and wiped one away there.
Nice cut.
Indier again with a chance for the three-point play.
And folks, this is excellent offense by the Pitt Panthers. When you catch that ball on the offensive end, everyone tends to stare right at the basketball and watch number one, Xavier Johnson just cut to the basket, and that's City Indier actually cutting to the basket, and that's what you should do. When you find your defensive guy staring down the basketball, cut the backside and you'll be wide open. What a pretty pass by Terrell Brown, too.
Indier has 5 of Pittsburgh's 7 points. He's been part of a WAC championship team when he was at New Mexico State. Got his degree in business administration, wanted to experience something different, and has been a big part of this Pittsburgh team here, providing some maturity and veteran leadership. Reyes working on Brown. Gets his own rebound, and Brown sends it back into the seats.
I love the activity here early of Terrell Brown, number 21 there in gold. He's doing a terrific job of defending the painted area. As a big, you have to own that space, and he's taking ownership of it here early. 2 block shots here early in this game.
He didn't have any the first time these two teams played, and that's unusual for him. Averages 1.8 blocks per game, and now just about 3 away from moving into the top 10 among shot blockers for the Panthers. Kai Bowman knocks down the 3.
That's a tough shot, too. Trey McGowan's number 2 and gold right in his face. But that's the level of confidence that Kai Bowman has played with all year long. 38% from the three-point line.
McGowan's getting into the paint. He's really good at getting to the free throw line, but some excellent defense by Boston College. Bowman. Chapman thought about it, and a good closeout by Indier keeps him from pulling the trigger.
Yeah, I thought Chapman should have let that one fly.
And Bowman has his pocket picked by Johnson, and McGowan's will finish.
You can't play with the basketball in front of the Pitt guards. They have excellent, excellent quick hands. And you got to make a change of direction there and attack the paint.
You know, despite the fact that Pittsburgh had that 13-game losing streak, playing the number of young players, these 2 guards, they've hit a little bit of a wall. But they keep everything in hand. You would think that there's going to be a bright future there. And the foul was called. They may have a look at the monitor on there, as it looked like Johnson might have caught one up in the chops. It was Chapman that was called for the foul. Bowman got that pocket picked. McGowan's with a flush. 3-point game in Charlotte.
At Charmin, we're obsessed with getting you clean,
So we put our Charmin Ultra Strong through a variety of tests.
demonstrating that we clean better than that grocery store brand TP.
There's the wipe test. Ooh, wiped out.
The strength test. Ultra strong, holding strong.
And of course, our Skin Sim cleanup test.
That's one clean nectarine. That's why we're sure Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better.
So much better, it's worth it.
Enjoy the go with Charmin.
This, you will not forget it.
call before the break. Watch Jordan Chapman, 25 from BC. They got him for a flagrant 1.
Yeah, and when you're trying to come off those screens, you use that inside arm to try to create a little separation, and it just slid up his body right into the neck. That's a good call, a good catch, and a good call by the official. No malicious intent, though.
Xavier Johnson rolls in the free throw. And another.
76% on the year from the foul line for Xavier Johnson. Calmly knocks down those two.
The free throw rate for this team, though that's not the conventional way of getting to the free throw line, obviously, right. But it is among the best in the country. So Pittsburgh is closed to within 1. Allison, what did you hear in the huddle?
Well, Reese, with 6 turnovers here for Pitt already, the final message as they broke the huddle from Jeff Capel was value the basketball. He also wants them to have more ball and body movement on offense.
Changing defenses here, Allison. Little 1-2-2 zone. Let's see how Pitt handles it here.
Xavier Johnson, Malik Ellison tips it back out to McGowan's. And they'll reset it as no one took the 3 ball off the tap out. Johnson creates some space. McGowan's
got to attack that ACC area.
And Deere got off to a good start, but that one was just a bit outside.
That's terrible.
Popovich rattles out. McGowan's with the rebound. Here come the Panthers.
Reese, I think Popovich has to shot fake that one and drive it. He's been so good this year of turning down that 3 and getting to the front of the rim. Thought he missed an opportunity there.
Chris Herron Jr.'s in the game for Boston College. Number 4, that's him guarding the ball. Jared Wilson frame gets set to return for Pittsburgh. Johnson gets all the way to the basket.
Tell you what, Xavier Johnson, that kid's got a next gear. Once he gets his shoulder past your hip, you have no shot. And Boston College's weak side defense, Reese, was really good at coming over early in this game. They've been late the last couple of possessions.
And they trail for the first time tonight. Chapman, he got fouled. And Deere is called for the foul as Chapman tried to get the shot off. Tomorrow's NBA Wednesday doubleheader starts in Oklahoma City. D'Angelo Russell and the Nets sitting there about 6th in the playoff race right now, continuing their playoff push against Russell Westbrook and the Thunder. Russell involved in a little dust-up at 7 o'clock Eastern time while the team was in Utah. And then it's off to Houston. Tremendous matchup between the Warriors, James Harden and the Rockets. Rockets hot again. They've won 9 in a row. Both games available on the ESPN app.
Yeah, people have been talking about how the Warriors have been sleepwalking through this season in their last game against the Nuggets to kind of establish some Western Conference supremacy. They blasted my Nuggets 122-105 on their home floor, so I'm sure the Warriors will be up for the challenge against the Rockets, who I think are hovering right around 3rd place right now in the West.
Bowman, who's an excellent defensive rebounder, he's just a great rebounder, particularly good defensively, got an offensive rebound that time, and then turned it over. Malik Ellison, one-on-one against Stephon Mitchell, can't get it to go. McGowan's has it, and a whistle inside as Pittsburgh stayed after it, despite the fact that he couldn't finish at the rim. Herron's going to be called for the foul. It's his first.
And Reese, I like what Pitt is doing right now. They've really locked in on the defensive end. Their on-ball defense has been superb. Weak side has been great. And when they've gotten an opportunity to get out in transition, that's where they're at their best, when they're attacking the basket.
And McGowan's has been a pretty good free throw shooter, 76%, never better than he was in the 30-point game against Florida State when he hit 18 of 19. You see the impact that the freshmen have made on this Pittsburgh team, Fonz.
They've been absolutely terrific on the season, and man, these first-year players have been getting after it. Xavier Johnson, Trey McGowan, and Aldis Toney accounting for 50% of Pitt scoring. That's fantastic.
And you know, the thing is, Fonz, is that they didn't anticipate having any of those 3 guys, because McGowan's and Toney reclassified after Jeff Capel started recruiting them, and Johnson appeared to be on his way to Nebraska before an assistant coach left, reopened his recruitment. McGowan's committed and signed to Pitt. He'd never even been to campus.
Right.
He's got an opportunity to really help put down the cornerstone of Jeff Capel's program at Pitt. Terrell Brown goes in there, was a little too aggressive, and is called for the offensive foul. Good defensive position by Nick Popovich.
Well, Reese, we talked about it earlier. Against that 1-2-2 zone of Boston College, is getting that basketball into that ACC area. He got it in the right area. Terrell Brown actually can take that little 15-foot jump shot. Sometimes we bigs want to get a little extra, got a little greedy there, and that's what led to that turnover.
And he's going to have a seat with 2 offensive fouls as Kenan Chukwuka returns. He started the game. Has been shooting judiciously but very well for Pittsburgh. He's made 13 of his last 16. Hasn't attempted a field goal tonight.
I think Popovich has got to touch that ball a lot more in the low post. Almost every time he's gotten it there, he's been able to score.
Bowman contested. Malik Ellison soars in to snatch it away for the Panthers. Here's Johnson working on Bowman. Johnson lines up the 3, hopping on his toes right in front of us, trying to will that thing to go in.
Yeah, watch him hop on the toes after that. Understandable. 0 for 8 3-point field goals over his last 3 games, and he's praying that this was going in. Yes. Oh, man, just a little short.
Chukwuka was called for going over the back. It's his first personal. 16-13, Boston College with the lead as we head toward the 8-minute mark. In the first half here in Charlotte in the ACC Tournament, winner gets Syracuse tomorrow night.
Reese Popovich, number 21 in gray, needs to get a touch on the post.
Chapman spinning. It's the air ball. Shot clock now at 3. Got to let it fly. Popovich does. Fight for the rebound, last touched, and it'll go back to the Panthers. Got a tight one going, hasn't always been the prettiest one so far, but hard fought as both of these teams try to stay alive for one more day. A new life when championship week arrives.
Never get the credit I deserve. I don't know if you hearing every word. Yeah, I'm a threat. Yeah, I'm a threat. You know I'm a threat. Something by the Panthers in the end zone. Let's get it.
Boston College up 3 here. Let's take a look at how the 4th leading scorer in the league gets open here. Gives it up, comes under the screen. Now all of a sudden, watch number 13 there in gold has to step up and help, and that leaves Popovich open on the backside. And this is not Kevin Durant, but how about the rock step? And now creating the separation, Kai Bowman drills a 3 from the top. That's 38% from 3. That's a confident stroke right there, Reese.
They'd like to really get him going if they could. Obviously, their number 1 offensive threat. So far, only that 3 ball tonight, the only points that he scored. But it is, coincidentally, the margin that Boston College enjoys at the moment.
Back in that zone, 1-2-2 zone. That ball's got to get to the ACC area either off the bounce or off the pass.
Or he can shoot right over the top of it.
Yes, indeed.
Jared Wilson frame.
He's been phenomenal. Nice stretch for him, Reese, coming into this game. He's made 3 or more threes in 11 of his last 14 games and shot 41% from 3. Incredible.
He's got deep range.
And I don't know how the defense lost, because if there's one guy that you have to guard from the 3-point line, it's definitely Jared Wilson frame. Breakdown on the defense there for Boston College.
When BC turned it over, Pittsburgh has a chance to regain the lead. City and Deer had 5 in the early going, and Deer gets inside. It's a little tangled up. McGowan's acrobatic. Wilson Frame tried to put it back and couldn't. He'll try it again, and this time he'll go to the free throw line.
Tell you what, this Pitt team has been absolutely alert here in the second part of this first half. They've been able to get into the painted area, get on the glass. Defensively, they've been stout. Pitt Panthers are awake now. I thought they were sleepwalking a little bit in the first 4 minutes of this game, but they are dialed in now.
There's the first foul on Kai Bowman. Wilson Frame has now scored 4 consecutive points for the Panthers. He averages a little over 12 per game.
The best outside shooting threat. Pitt needs him to get going.
Makes them both. Panthers by a deuce. And they'll show a little pressure in the back court. Jared Hamilton with it into the front court for Boston College. Boston College team that is yet to win in the month of March, losing their last 3, had a poor performance on senior night. In their last game against NC State, losing 73-47, their second worst loss of the year. Virginia beat them by 1 point more. Bowman loses it on the way to the basket. And let's see what the whistle's for.
Was it a jump ball or tie-up? Yeah, it looked like it was a jump ball tie-up. Possession arrow to Boston College. You got 2 seconds here on the shot clock.
Have to run a quick hitter. There's Bowman. Oh. Ball needed a little more air in it so it wouldn't get stuck like that.
Wow, I was shielded from the foul, though. But what a nice read. What happened is Boston College loaded up 3 offensive players on the left side of the rim and left Bowman on the backside there. So he faked like he was going back to half court and then cut backside against City and Deer. Let's see. Yeah, hit him on the head there. That's a good call by the official.
Just a little graze. Up top, it was all ball. And City and Deer has his second foul. And Bowman misses the free throw.
Yeah, for the most part, City and Deer and Xavier Johnson, number 1 there in gold, have done a really nice job on Kai Bowman. When he gives the basketball up, they keep him from getting it back, and they've done a nice job keeping him in front. In fact, has poked one away. So give those 2 guys a lot of credit. They've been doing a really nice job one-on-one defensively against Kai Bowman.
Bowman's second team all ACC as Johnson blows right by him and scores. Bowman, in fact, got 1 vote for ACC Player of the Year. Wow. An award won by Zion Williamson. Bowman considered going to the NBA last year, but was told he'd likely be a second-round pick and came back. He says that he'll make the decision whenever Boston College's season ends, and if they don't win tonight, that season will end tonight. Foul is called on Wilson Frame. It's his first.
Yeah, I know the Boston Celtics love him. They liken him to Shane Larkin, who was a 3rd guard for them. And so we'll see how it pans out for him. I love his athleticism, his explosiveness. He's got to get a more consistent 3-ball, I think. And then he's got to take care of the defensive end. But I think part of the reason that he's not as good of a defensive player as he can be, Boston College can ill afford to have him out of the game, pick up a couple quick fouls early. And so I think he's done a really nice job of managing the game from that standpoint.
Last year he had Jerome Robinson. They were the highest scoring backcourt in the ACC, and a lot of the load has fallen to Kai Bowman, understandably, as Jordan Chapman makes both free throws.
Guys, Bowman, a unique player, a unique guy, too. We've seen the different hairstyles while he's been at BC. He also has some pretty unique tattoos. In fact, they kind of represent something that he was scared of when he was a kid growing up. He said he got the tattoo of the Chucky doll and the Jason mask because it was the only things that terrified him as a kid, and now it's representative that he has no fear.
I tell you what, Allison, those 2 still scare me as a 48-year-old, but I'm not putting those on my legs.
He explains why I don't have any tattoos.
Yes. You don't have any?
Not afraid of anything, pal.
I hear you.
Something scares me someday. Maybe I'll get a tattoo of it. Headed toward the 5-minute mark. Pittsburgh and Boston College. Final game of the first day. ACC Tournament here in Charlotte. Glad to have you with us tonight. These two teams met 7 times in tournament play when they were in the Big East. Nice. First time in the ACC, and Xavier Johnson hits his man in the air and draws a foul, and we'll go back to the free throw line.
Well, Reese, the Pitt guards, and in this case, Xavier Johnson, are doing a really nice job of finding the mismatches out there on the floor. And anytime any of the bigs, and that time Stephon Mitchell guarding them inside, he just makes a little quick jab and able to get to his left to the rim. Good reads here by the Pitt guards.
Johnson with 8. Johnson had a miserable game the first time these two teams played. He was 3 of 19 from the floor. The game Pittsburgh lost 66-57. They shot less than 30%. Still had a chance. Under 5 minutes to go, they got to within 1. And ball was another Boston College turnover. Stepped on the baseline trying to save it.
Yeah, Jared Wilson-Frame was the only one that scored in double figures, and he had 12 for Pitt.
Well, because you're the nicest guy in the world, you're mentioning he scored in double figures. I need to point out he was 4 of 17 from the floor.
We didn't talk about how many shots it took to get him.
It doesn't really matter, no. Let that thing fly, kids. Trey McGowan's. We head toward the 4-minute mark. There's Malik Ellison.
Nice.
Now Wilson-Frame lines it up, knocks it down.
Can't leave him. Reese, you can't leave him. You have to stay at home on Jared Wilson-Frame, number 4 in gold. 39% from 3. And we talked about he's been 41% over his last 11 games.
He now has 8. And the early going hasn't taken him nearly as many shots to get there so far tonight, as Pittsburgh shooting much better than they did. And another turnover. Xavier Johnson the steal. He takes it all the way. And now Jim Christian wants to try to get his team's act together. A 13-3 run as the Panthers have surged up by 7, hoping to stick around in Charlotte to hear that "Hail to Pitt" refrain for one more day.
Nice.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal Investments Retirement Insurance.
Saturday. A dynamic young star returns to his native England to face a punishing veteran. Till versus Masvidal. Saturday is UFC Fight Night on ESPN+.
Welcome to March. The fun starts here. The biggest night of Champ Week presented by Principal begins Saturday at 6 on ESPN.
Whatever you need Zion to do, he can do. And that's the difference.
Oh my God. In order to win a championship, you have to be outstanding. If Zion's healthy, we'll have a chance.
We'll see if Zion is indeed healthy and how healthy. We're expecting him to continue with contact work as he recovers from that sprained knee. Duke has been good, but certainly not close to great since he blew out that shoe and hurt the knee in the game against North Carolina. And Trey McGowan's has pushed Pittsburgh's lead to 10 as they are on a 9-0 run and 16-3 if you want to extend it farther back.
Yeah, all of a sudden Boston College has turned that basketball over quite a bit. 6 turnovers have led to 11 points off those turnovers for Pitt.
3 ball won't go down for Jared Hamilton.
Notice how everything right now for Boston College is a jump shot, Reese. They've got to get more going to the rim.
Allison, what did Jim Christian say about that?
Well, very frustrated during the last timeout. He said one-on-one defense has been horrible, and the problem is they're letting their struggles on offense impact their play on the defensive end. And he said they're not making simple plays offensively. He said you guys have 4 turnovers in 5 possessions because you're not making the smart plays. You have to have simple, solid possessions and stop letting your offense affect your defense. And overall, guys, both ends, they need better play from Kai Bowman.
Yeah, and Allison, that's a great point. I think also the absence of Winston Tabbs, who averages 14 points a game for Boston College, another weapon on the offensive end that could bring some stability to the offense.
Well, they haven't been the same without him. He's now missing his 14th consecutive game. He's missed 15 overall this season, and Boston College is 4-11 in those games as Bowman working the offensive glass and draws the foul. Allison was mentioning fundamentals, sort of like maybe being able to get a foot on the baseline. Keep Trey McGowan's go all the way underneath.
But if you see your teammate beaten, you still have to get over on the other side. Stephon Mitchell's still outside the lane on the weak side. You still have to come over and give some support. As I said earlier, the weak side of Boston College's defense has been completely absent here as we've been under 10 minutes in this first half.
And Bowman is 1 of 3 from the free throw line, too. Chris Herron Jr. returns, and Jared Hamilton will go to the bench to have a chat with Jim Christian. Bowman misses another free throw. The Audi halftime report is coming up in a bit. Kevin Connors, who should get hazardous duty pay, working with Seth Greenberg and Jay Brody tonight. Early ACC action, and the Zags look to continue their dominance in the West Coast Conference Tournament as they go for the sweep. 5 bids up for grabs tonight. Gonzaga, we assume, will claim one of those. Xavier Johnson. Popovich denied the dunk. The whistle from Tony Henderson. And the foul was called on Popovich. It's his first.
But Reese, you see how long it took Popovich to get there? As soon as you see a guy's shoulder past your teammate and you're on the weak side of the floor, you've got to get there early. And that's what we've been talking about. They've been late, Boston College, on several defensive possessions, and that's really hurt them.
Pittsburgh stretches.
See, he's by him now.
13. Here we go.
See how all of a sudden it's a late reaction by Popovich? You've got to see that right away and get there. Look, see? A little late, little jerk action, and that's way too late because Xavier Johnson can really accelerate and elevate, as you saw on that possession.
I think one of the frustrating things for Jim and his staff has been some listless performances of late from Boston College. Certainly NC State qualified, and after a pretty good start tonight, you've kind of fallen in to a funk here in the latter moments of the first half. McGowan's in a block. As Popovich tried to get there, and he has quickly picked up 2 on the defensive end the last couple of trips.
And Reese, I'd like to see Boston College. You know when you're playing against Pitt that they don't shoot the basketball very well from the three-point line, although Jared Wilson-Frame can absolutely shoot it from out there. So you've got to pack that defense in and force them to take jump shots. Pitt is getting into the lane anytime they want to in this game.
Well, Pitt doesn't shoot it well. That has been a way that they've generated offense. At times is getting to the free throw line. And they've been able to do so with regularity tonight.
They're number 1 in the ACC in free throws made per game at 16.4.
And now Pittsburgh's on a 14-0 run. They pushed their lead all the way to 15. Mentioned earlier, we saw Notre Dame build a 20-point lead in the first half against Georgia Tech, only to have the Yellow Jackets roar back and threaten the Irish at the end. Notre Dame was able to hang on for a 78-71 win. Dire for Boston College yet. McGowan's just picked up his second foul, much to the chagrin of Jeff Capel.
Well, I think Jeff Capel thought that should have been a foul on the screen when he got nipped by the screener and fell down.
In fact, he was so chagrined, he got himself a bench warning in the process, too.
See, watching the early one, he's clipped there and falls down and then gets back up. It's just, oh my gosh. Poor Trey McGowan's. Look at this. Look at this, Reese. I mean, the screener's moving, so that probably should have been an offensive foul, and now he doesn't get a chance to get back up. It's just in a bad spot there.
Some much-needed points for the Eagles from the free throw line coming from Bowman as McGowan's going to have a seat, presumably for the final 70 seconds of the first half.
Full court pressure here from Boston College to try to disrupt the rhythm of the offense of the Pittsburgh Panthers. Series right now, I'd pack it in. Make them prove, Pitt, that they can make perimeter jump shots.
Shot clock at 8.
But you got to ID Wilson-Frame, number 4 in gold.
Or you can let Johnson drive it all the way to the basket.
Shouldn't happen.
Straight line drive?
Yeah, shouldn't happen.
Right through the guts of the defense.
And that's exactly what Coach Christian was talking about that Allison alluded to coming out of that timeout.
Almost 9 minutes without a BC field goal. And Malik Ellison blocks Bowman, and Pittsburgh will have a chance to get another one in the final seconds. They can hold for the final shot as the shot clock is off. 15-point Panther lead. They fell in a quick 7-0 hole, and it has been all Panthers since.
1-4 flat, going to give it an opportunity to try to take it off the bounce.
Wilson frame, leaves it on the front of the rim, and that's how we'll go to halftime. 36-21. They close on a 23-5 run. Boston College goes nearly the entire second half of the first half without making a basket.
Yeah, settled for way too many jump shots, Reese. Nothing to the painted area.
And Allison has Jeff Capel.
Coach Capel, what was the key to the run that Pitt went on?
I thought first of all, we stopped turning the ball over. We had jitters. We had deer in headlights. First time for a lot of our guys, even me, as a head coach in this environment. So I thought we had some jitters. I thought once we calmed down and got into the game, I thought our defense picked up. I thought Malik Ellison came in and gave us some big minutes. Just his talk and his energy on defense, we were able to spread the floor and let our guys make some plays.
You mentioned that defense. What's been the key defensively against Kai Bowman? Just the one field goal in the first half.
I just think we've been connected. It's not one guy, it's our whole team. You know, we're doing a good job on the ball screens. We're doing a good job, guards fighting to get over. And then we have a help behind them, and our guys are doing a good job of talking throughout all of that.
Jeff, thank you. Appreciate it.
And Allison and Jeff, to that point, Pittsburgh turned it over just one time in the final 9 minutes of play. They're up by 15. We'll head back to the studio for the Audi halftime report right after these messages. The ESPN's Champ Week presented by Principal and the 2019 New York Life ACC Tournament. Final game of the first day of the tournament. Pittsburgh and Boston College. Panthers poured it on late in the first half. They're up 36-21. Boston College didn't score a field goal in the final 9:18 of the first half. These two teams are squaring off for the right to meet Syracuse tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. You see the rest of the games on Wednesday, and the teams with the double bye, Virginia, North Carolina, Duke, and Florida State, open their play in the ACC tournament on Thursday. But this Tuesday night affair, the last part of the first half was completely controlled by Pittsburgh. Reese Davis, LaFonso Ellis back with you, and Xavier Johnson, a guy you mentioned at the beginning, did it on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, he was magnificent. 14 points on the offensive end, but I thought where he showed up was defensive end. Look at this. Double team, keeping the basketball out of Kai Bowman's hands, forcing him to throw a little banana pass over there, then it's off to the races. Now all of a sudden, now you see him, now you don't. Now you see him again, stepping in there, taking that basketball away, and now they were out in transition. And that was the difference in that last 10 minutes of the first half. It was the Pitt defense getting it done there. Xavier Johnson with 14 points in this game.
Boston College in desperate need of anything that will inject some life in their offense. The fewest points they've scored in any half, Allison. What's the plan? We will get to Allison in a moment. Second half started. Pittsburgh, same five that started the game. Garrett Wilson frame. Can't get it to go as Boston College has the ball. Let's check in with Allison again now.
Reese, the biggest concern for Jim Christian at the half was the play on the defensive end. He said, we allowed way too many straight line drives. And as far as getting Kai Bowman going, who's just 1 of 5 in that half, he said that's on Kai. He's got to play harder. He needs to pick it up on the defensive end, and that will help him get things going offensively.
Yeah, that's a great point, Allison. I think also Pitt did a great job in the first half of any time Kai Bowman gave the basketball up, they were keeping him from getting it back. So now all of a sudden you got to play him off the basketball and bring him to it and allow him to get into the painted area.
Stephon Mitchell was called for the foul, but he appeared to get the worst of something.
He did.
He's still rubbing his eyes. I don't know if he caught it across the bridge of the nose or in the eye, but picked up his second foul and apparently aggravated. Comes over and makes a good defensive play. Hamilton in, and a much needed field goal for Boston College, and the Charlotte native Jared Hamilton gets the first bucket for the Eagles in the second half.
What led to that, Reese, was that weak side defense for Boston College was early and able to come up with that steal. That was beautiful.
You pointed out a couple of times in the first half that it wasn't quick enough in the help.
Yeah, folks, watch this. Stephon Mitchell, number 41 in gray, coming from the weak side of the floor. See how early he is? Now all of a sudden that ball's up there. You can get a deflection and get out in transition. And for Boston College to get back into this game and win it, the weak side defense has to be early. And that was beautiful defense right there, especially from the weak side.
Mitchell goes to the bench, and Jarius Hamilton is checked in for him. Audice Toney's been pretty quiet tonight. He goes all the way in, and Popovich has the rebound, and here comes Kai Bowman, fourth leading scorer in the ACC, who was held in check, just 6 points in the first half.
Nice.
Chapman for three.
Boston College has to make those open threes when they get them.
McGowan's had it blocked from behind by Bowman. Bowman saved the basket, but picked up the foul. It's his second.
I was trying to see if there was any body contact there, but Kai Bowman came out of nowhere while it's all ball over the top, but then he's got a lot of the arm on the way down. Good call by the official.
I got him on the noggin, too. He got him with the elbow in the noggin.
You think that's why his head kind of went forward a little bit?
That's my guess.
Good eyes by you.
If I had to hypothesize, McGowan's. And look at Stephon Mitchell. Yeah. He was called for the foul a moment ago. I'm not really. We may have Allison check. Maybe he wears contact lenses because he appears to be rubbing like the tops of his eyelids there.
Could have been where he got hit too.
Yeah, maybe.
Head, yeah,
maybe so. Allison will check on him if he's not back in the game in short order. As we played a little over 90 seconds here. Still a 15-point lead for Pittsburgh. Popovich puts it in the back, and that's a tremendous defensive play by Kenna Chukwuka. Popovich got sloppy with the ball, and Chukwuka just grabbed the thing.
Folks, when you catch the basketball inside and you're big, you have to put that basketball underneath your chin and secure it. Look what Popovich, number 21 in gray, does. Puts it over his head, and what a reaction there by Chukwuka. That's exactly what he should do, but that's a mistake by Popovich.
Well, the possession arrow stays with Boston College. They've got 7 on the shot clock. Ended up losing the possession arrow for later for that play. Chapman doesn't get it off. It's a shot clock violation.
Well, Popovich should have taken that shot as soon as he got the basketball in his hands with about 3 seconds on the clock.
Frustration on the face of Jim Christian in his 5th season at Boston College. If his Eagles don't rally, he will suffer his 100th defeat against 62 wins during his time. Had good run at Ohio. 2-time MAC Coach of the Year, the head coach at TCU as well. And a tough finish to the season for Boston College as McGowan's goes strong to the bucket and the lead 17.
Did you see him hang in the air? Jumped off the wrong leg to finish that one. That was pretty.
We saw these Panthers in the early season. You and I both agreed as these guards mature, get better, they're going to be a problem. As Jeff Capel starts to build that program. They hit a little bit of a freshman wall this year. Didn't play as well down the stretch, particularly McGowan's offensively. Johnson, who scores again to give Pittsburgh its biggest lead of 19 tonight, and they are threatening to blow Boston College right back to the heights.
And folks, Trey McGowan's is absolutely dialed in. Little change of speed, change direction. How about the hang in there? A little contact there as well. That's beautiful.
That's a foul.
The biggest night of Champ Week presented by Principal begins Saturday at 6 on ESPN.
Call it what you will. The tee shot, the first strike. Here, it's more. The push, the grit, the will. All part of the drive at the Masters.
Big holes to find Mitchell on the bench. Allison, what's the latest on him?
Well, Reese, he did get poked in the right eye. He does not wear contacts, so no issue there. Just dealing with some discomfort in the eye. They put some eye drops in. They also iced it as well, and I'm told he is available to return.
Well, that's good news for sure. They need everybody they can get right now, down by 19. They need Kai Bowman to get going. One field goal all night, and Kai will go back to the free throw line.
I like the early push. before Pitt's defense can get organized. That's only one of the few ways that Kai Bowman's been able to find any airspace to be able to get any decent looks at the basket.
Chukwuka was called for the foul. It's his second. Bowman has half of his 6 points from the free throw line, though he has missed 3 free throws tonight.
Yeah.
North Carolina native who typically plays well in his home state has not played up to his normal standard thus far, but a long way to go. And another missed free throw for Kai Bowman, normally a 78% free throw shooter.
And I talked to Pitt's head coach, Jeff Capel, yesterday. He told me the one thing that they wanted to do is make it difficult for Kai Bowman when he's got the basketball, keep it out of his hands once he gives it up. And they've done that really well this evening, the Pitt Panthers.
McGowan sort of stumbling, bumbling, and almost scoring, and there's a tip in.
Kai Bowman slow to get up, too.
The lead is 20 for the 14th seeded Pitt Panthers here in the ACC Tournament. The 15th seed, the bottom seed, Notre Dame, is already advanced. Pitt is also trying to advance. Winner of our game gets Syracuse tomorrow night. Shot clock at 8. Popovich to a cutting and scoring Jarius Hamilton, the freshman from here in Charlotte.
I love it. Jarius Hamilton saw his defensive player turn and look at the basketball and cut backside, which is exactly what you should do.
His first bucket of the night, a guy that Boston College has high hopes for in terms of developing into a big-time offensive threat as his career unfolds, just like Trey McGowan's is doing for Pittsburgh.
Wow.
McGowan's only shot 32% from 3 this year. Both he and Xavier Johnson, one would think, are going to continue to become better and better, more reliable perimeter shooters. There are a lot of other things about their game that you really like. The toughness, the ability to get to the free throw line, the ability to run the floor. McGowan's probably should have given it to his buddy right there, and Johnson might have had an easy one, but Pittsburgh is blowing this thing out. Fonz up by 21. 21-point lead for the Panthers, 15-21 to play here in Charlotte.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal Investments Retirement Insurance.
Welcome to March.
The party begins.
The fun starts here.
You can smile. You can celebrate. You're going dancing, my friend. Come on, you gotta survive. I said you gotta survive. You gotta survive.
The biggest day of Champ Week presented by Principal begins Saturday at 1 on ESPN.
You gotta survive.
21, its largest lead in ACC play this year on Boston College, and Fonz are doing it with their freshman guards, Xavier Johnson and Trey McGowan.
They've been absolutely terrific in this game. 11 of 20 from the field, or 11 of 19 rather from the field. And, you know, we talked a lot earlier about Xavier Johnson, but Trey McGowan's had really gotten off to a great start in ACC play, averaging about 22 points a game, including 2 30-point games, 33 against Louisville, 30 against Florida State. Then he took a shot in his eye against Syracuse, and then he's kind of up and down and just not shooting it well, but got out of that funk against Notre Dame where he had 16 points, and he's been terrific tonight.
You've said a couple of times that Pittsburgh suffered a 13-game losing streak that they ended against Notre Dame. In each of Pitt's last 5 victories, McGowan has had at least 15 points to show how important he is. And he has 18 tonight to lead the Panthers, 2 more than his backcourt mate. Good pass on the inside. Jarius Hamilton fumbled it, and Stephon Mitchell, good to see him back in the game after getting poked in the eye. And now he had an eye full of Panthers. There were a couple of them that had him surrounded, and he bounced it off a leg and out of bounds. So BC will have it out of bounds underneath.
Yeah, the attention to detail on the defensive end has been superb for Pitt. Double teaming when it's been necessary, clogging lanes, running guys off the three-point line has been beautiful.
Hamilton driving, gets his shot blocked by Terrell Brown. Johnson just out hustles a couple of BC Eagles and gets the ball.
3 Pitt uniforms around the driver.
Garrett Wilson frame. Look, I was at the Duke-Louisville game. Nobody's going to throw in the towel here.
Sure.
I understand that BC's not Duke, but I will say if this were a fight, they'd stop it on cuts right now. From the corner. No good from Jarius Hamilton. Mitchell with the offensive rebound. Stefan. And a foul's called on the inside. And they're going to get Malik Ellison on the foul. It's his first.
Yeah, and Pitt's been so aggressive off the dribble, whether it be in transition or in the half court. Jared Wilson frame known more for his ability to be able to knock down 3 ball at 39% on the year, but showing the ability to finish with his offhand around the rim there. That was impressive.
Fast break points, the 18th of the night for Pittsburgh. Boston College has just 3 fast break points. Bowman finally nestles one in. That's just Kai's second field goal of the night. He averages more than 19 points per game. 4th leading scorer in the ACC.
And Reese, I mentioned earlier, Boston College playing without Winston Tabbs, a freshman who's scoring about 14 points per game. And with him on the floor, you can't key in on Kai Bowman as much because now you have to worry about 2 guys who can knock it down from the perimeter and get into the lane. But with him out of the lineup, Kai Bowman is the only guy for Boston College in this lineup that can make plays off the bounce. And it puts so much pressure on him. And I love the scheme by Coach Jeff Capel from Pitt coming into it, keeping a body in front of him, keeping a lot of guys around him on his dribble, and not letting him get it back once he gives it up.
See the numbers thus far, not representative of what Bowman has done this year, and he's had an outstanding season. Not only outstanding season, outstanding career. He's just a junior, so he'll have an opportunity to come back next year depending on what his decision is. I guess that was a jump stop. There was a lot of, there appeared to be a lot of steps on the way in by Xavier Johnson, but he draws the foul. And it's a 3rd on Mitchell.
And Reese, that's another thing that I like about those 2 freshman guards from Pitt. Xavier Johnson, #1, and Trey McGowan's #2. They're big guards, 6'3", 185 pounds. Trey McGowan, 190 for Xavier Johnson. Both guys great putting it on the deck and getting to the rim.
We've mentioned this free throw rate that Pittsburgh had a lot. They're top 15 in the country, and basically that's just the number of free throws attempted divided by the number of field goals attempted, how often, reflection of how often you get to the free throw line. Capel's team has done that very effectively.
Yeah.
Free throw is rolled in, and lead is up to 25.
Boston College could use a Jordan Chapman sighting here. Senior can really knock down the 3, and if he can get a few going down, that'll create a little separation and allow Kai Bowman to be able to get to the rim.
And Terrell Brown blocked the shot and didn't like the fact that he's going to be whistled for the foul. That's 3 on him. Brown set a Pitt record earlier this year with 9 blocked shots against Colgate, but he also had 4 against Carolina, 5 against Louisville. Brown has swatted away a couple without being called for a foul tonight. As Chapman scores here, the transfer from Brigham Young, who went on a 2-year Mormon mission, started his career at BYU, where his dad Jeff played. Jeff was a tremendous forward for the Cougars back in the day. 8th on the all-time scoring list.
Wow.
And Jordan, native of Vancouver, Washington, finishing his career at BC. Allison, what do you have on Jordan Chapman?
Well, Reese, you mentioned that he did that mission trip to Taiwan, so that means he speaks Mandarin fluently still. And what he did that's kind of fun is he joined up with one of the team managers. Her name is Siqi Wang, and she is from China. So they actually do something called the Mandarin Minute. It's a video series, and they give BC basketball news in Mandarin. They put it up online, and fans from all over the world can watch. They even got Kai Bowman involved a little bit.
And they taught him how to say three-pointer in Mandarin.
Let me hear you say it.
There's Siqi Wang. We can have her call it. She would like to be able to call a few three-pointers to get her squad back in this thing, down 23 with just under 13 minutes to play. The opening night of the ACC Tournament, and what a look from Johnson inside to Chukwuka. And he's now made, I think, 14 of his last 17 shots. No, make it 14 of 18. He did miss one earlier tonight, but judicious in shot selection is Chukwuka, but he's been highly effective. Most of it right around the rim. He's guarding Popovich out on the floor now. Probably got away with grabbing him as Popovich missed. Wilson frame pulls it away, and Pittsburgh up by 25 and with the ball.
I expect Xavier Johnson to try to attack here.
The shooting percentage from Boston College. Boston, oh, look at Malik Ellison. Never nervous, the son of Purvis.
I love it.
30 points in the paint to a half dozen for BC. Chris Herron Jr. long. Chapman gets it. He misses. Offensive rebound, and now Popovich. It's been a long time between drinks for Nick. That's his fourth field goal. He had three buckets really early.
Yeah, I thought early after he got his shot blocked, I thought he became very passive with the basketball when he's caught it on the post.
They're working on, as you see over on the right side of your screen, they're working on Trey McGowan's there.
Is that a stretch? I'd like to get one of those. Think I can lobby for one?
Not sure exactly what his issue is, making sure he's stretched out as Herron drains the three. Those have been few and far between for BC tonight. BC had missed 12 straight three-point attempts. Bowman gets it back, and he'll go back to the free throw line. 57-35, Pittsburgh. They didn't find much offense the first time they saw BC. They're finding something tonight.
Some beautiful passes, getting into the lane, drawing two, and finding guys. How about the pretty finish there by Never Nervous Malik Ellison.
Saturday, a dynamic young star returns to his native England to face a punishing veteran. The winner moves one step closer to welterweight gold. Till versus Masvidal. Saturday is UFC Fight Night on ESPN+.
Very excited about this. ESPN and the ACC will bring you the ACC Network in August. All kinds of sports, all different ones. Visit ACCN.com to learn more. Going to get that thing started in late August with Georgia Tech and Clemson among our ACC travels this year. Fonz got to go down the slide at Dabo World.
Yes.
Clemson Football Complex.
Got to catch a few of your passes. You got a pretty nice arm there, buddy.
For an old man.
Not bad.
Kai Bowman has scuffled at the free throw line. He's making 50% tonight. He's 5 of 10. He's got him reaching. That may be part of the answer right there, is he's massaging that shooting elbow.
Yeah, Reese, remember I mentioned to you, maybe in the last 3 minutes or so, he fell on our opposite end on that elbow, and he's been kind of messing around with a little gimpy with that elbow ever since.
Second team all ACC. Averaged 18 points per game in ACC play, 19.2 overall. Fourth leading scorer in both categories, both overall and in conference play. He's having a little discomfort now at reaching up toward the shoulder area as well.
And that's tough because that's a shooting arm.
And Boston College in desperate need of shooting if they're going to pull off a huge rally here. Pressure in the backcourt trying to force Pittsburgh into turnovers, and instead Jarius Hamilton fouls Trey McGowens.
Yeah, you're in a good situation there, and that's just a freshman mistake there by Jarius Hamilton. There's a lot of time left in this game, 10 minutes and 38 seconds, but Boston College has to keep Pitt out of the lane. Pitt has 30 points in the painted area tonight to 8 for Boston College.
And that was only the 16 foul fines. They'll go to the free throw line. Subsequent fouls. McGowens misses. Xavier Johnson has it for a shot clock for Pittsburgh as we head toward the midway point of the second half here. Pittsburgh hoping it's 10 minutes and 13 seconds away from facing Syracuse, a team that beat them twice in the regular season. See if Boston College can give them a run. They'll shoot the 1-and-1 as the foul's called on Heron, his second. Xavier Johnson 6 of 8 from the free throw line tonight. One more and Johnson will have 20 tonight as the lead is 22. This is how the bracket looks. Winner of this game gets the 6th seeded Orange, 9 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. Notre Dame has already advanced to take on Louisville. That's also in the night session. Fonz and I will be back for that. Sean McDonough and Dan Dokachin for the early part of the day tomorrow, which includes a huge game between Clemson and NC State. Some have deemed that a play-in type game for the NCAA tournament as Popovich scores. Other certified bracketologists think that the loser would still have an opportunity to make it. Jerry Wilson frame, you're leaving that open. You count yourself fortunate if he misses. Popovich got the rebound and McGowens was called for the foul.
At least for NCAA purposes, both teams in the mid-30s in terms of that net, that NET. That's one of the tools that they use to evaluate who makes it into the NCAA tournament. So I have both teams safely in, whether they lose tomorrow or not. Well, one team will lose, and I still think both teams are in the tournament.
Guys, no NCAA postseason implications if Pitt wins this game, but there could be big implications going forward for a young team, one that really struggled. Remember last year they went 0-19 in conference play, and Jeff Capel said, I didn't realize the depth to which they were scarred from last year. He said, I didn't realize it until we beat Louisville at the beginning of January, and just the overpouring of emotion. And the returning guys told him, he said, Coach, you have no idea how good this feels to finally win. He said, it was then that I realized just how much they went through last year and how much that was still lingering into this year. They could have a couple wins to end this season. That could be huge to build on going forward.
Well, you know, Allison, it helped Boston College last year. They won a couple of games in the tournament as a 12 seed, and with the pressure causing the turnover a moment ago, we really saw the first signs of life in quite a while from the BC bench. I'm not so sure the first 30 minutes and change is going to go on the excited, exuberant effort part of the sizzle reel for BC, but they've still got some time here if they can become a little more productive on the offensive end of the court. Popovich grabs it and avoids a turnover.
Need Heron and Chapman, 4 and 25 and greater, make some perimeter shots.
Darius Hamilton, the freshman, drives in and draws the foul. The Charlotte native will go to the free throw line. 6'8", 234-pounder Malik Ellison fouled him.
Reese, this kid's got a chance to be a stud at 6'8". You already mentioned his weight, 234 pounds. Really quick feet, so he's great in ball screen situations. You can switch him out on the guard, and he can contain and keep someone in front. And as he gets more and more comfortable in the box, he's going to be very difficult to deal with.
The officials are over working on a clock issue. There's the alternate official, the great Roger Ayers, there in the black jacket. Roger making sure everything's all straightened out and squared away for our crew tonight. Bert Smith, Clarence Armstrong, Tony Henderson calling our game. Give everybody a free timeout. I think Dockett said this afternoon it's not an official college game until the officials go over to the monitor. Set it at 9:08. It appears in 14 seconds. And put up on the shot clock. But we're at the free throw line. So now we've reset the shot clock to 30 as we should. So here is Hamilton, who is a 63% free throw shooter on the year. He had 11 points in the first meeting against Pittsburgh, a game that Boston College won, largely because they held Pitt under 30% shooting, and Pitt's returning the favor. BC's under almost identical percentage. They're shooting just over 29% for the night so far. Both rattle in for Hamilton. He has 4. And the lead 16. Boston College still showing a flicker of hope here.
You just string together 3 straight stops. We call it a turkey. And if they can do that and score on the other side, now it changes the complexion of this game. Got to put a little game pressure. Try to get it under 10. Changes the game psychologically.
Johnson gets into the lane, hangs. Popovich contested, plays some great defense and has it out there. Xavier tried to sell the offensive foul with the flop, and now they've got numbers, and Hamilton for 3. Too hard off the front of the iron, and Johnson has it for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I would have rather Chapman or Heron take that shot.
Heading toward 8 minutes in the next media timeout. Pittsburgh want to continue to be aggressive, but no need to take bad shots. That's always a good one for him with a good look, but it rattles out on Jared Wilson frame, and BC can draw ever closer.
Just 2 straight stops. Got to score here.
Bowman!
Wow. Did he climb the ladder on that one?
All of a sudden, we got a 14-1 run, and Pittsburgh's a little shaky with the ball. McGowan's going in and quieting things down for the moment.
That's big. Found himself one-on-one in the open floor against Popovich. Did exactly what you should do when you're against the big. Just take him straight to the rack. Was able to take a little contact, still able to finish.
McGowan's now the leading scorer in the game with 20 points. Chapman thought about putting it up and trying to draw the foul on Johnson, and I think Jim Critchen's going to call a timeout, and he has a few words for Tony Henderson. Kai Bowman absorbed some contact. Joe Wine gets 19 points per game, but McGowan's has been able to answer as Pittsburgh has the hefty lead.
Saturday is UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus.
Intercepted by the Panthers in the end
The 7-point lead is down to 16, but these 2 freshman guards have been terrific.
They really have. Xavier Johnson really got it started early in the first half, had 14 points in that first half, and then all of a sudden Trey McGowan's went to work here in the second. Both guys have combined for 39 points in this game. Well done by the freshman.
Hamilton had it in deep, but lost it. Now Pittsburgh's back in the front court. Johnson settling things down as we head toward the 7-minute mark. Still plenty of time for Boston College, but they have to be stingy on this end of the floor and efficient on the other.
Yes.
Audi's Tony. McGowan's gets it off the Chapman save, knocked away, and Johnson corrals it. Wilson frame, takes his time, gathers himself, and buries another 3.
Little shot fake. Got the defender off the floor, and then a little sidestep to create space to knock that one down. That was nice.
His 3rd three-pointer of the night. Fonz got 15. or the senior from Hartford, Connecticut, by way of Northwest Florida State. Chapman lets one fly. Hamilton wound up on the deck. He wanted a foul call for over the back, didn't get it. Pittsburgh has it in the front. Johnson penetrating and scoring. Xavier Johnson with 21.
He's been magnificent. Great off the bounce, creating his own offense, but he's been really good at finding guys as well when he's gotten into the painted area and drawn an additional defender. Man, he's been really good.
After that little run that Boston College made to get it back to 16, Pittsburgh has scored 7 straight points.
Indeed. Look at Xavier Johnson here. Accelerates, able to slide past Kai Bowman, the defender. And he's shown us the ability to be able to finish with either hand at tough angles around the rim. I've been so impressed with his finishing ability tonight.
As Chapman goes to the free throw line. I know Boston College has had some injuries this year. They've struggled a little bit too. It's, we're not talking about one of the teams that finished in the upper echelon of the ACC. When you consider the struggles that Pittsburgh had, losing 13 straight, finally snapping that losing streak on the last day of the regular season, last Saturday of the regular season, of beating Notre Dame, to continue to fight and then to come out and play in this environment, as Jeff Capel said, first time in the ACC tournament for a lot of his key players. And to play like this, they've done a pretty good job. But in this case, Audis Toney didn't get the ball in bounds in time. It's a 5-second call.
Well, to be successful in any of the conferences in college basketball, you need really good guard play. And that backcourt of Pittsburgh is young, but Jeff Capel has the foundation going forward. Those two guys are going to have excellent careers as a backcourt combo for the Pitt Panthers.
It's been a rough night for Kai Bowman. He's got a dozen. He's had to work for everything as Mitchell draws the foul. Wilson Frame called for it on the way to the basket. Well, don't forget, Sports Center comes your way tonight after the West Coast Conference Tournament Final. John Butchergross, Michael Eaves will give you much more. You might have seen this run across the bottom of the screen a moment ago. Odell Beckham Jr. traded to the Browns. Josina Anderson, Louis Riddick break it all down for you. 5 tickets to be punched to the tournament, and how the Zags have built 2 decades of dominance. Sports Center 11 Eastern. It's on ESPN and the ESPN app. What do you think about OBJ going to the Browns of Baker Mayfield now?
Right? Huh? I would have never thought that he would leave New York. Just given his personality, and
that's some kind of flamboyant dynamic duo for those two right now with Baker and Odell Beckham Jr. I'm looking across the way over at the Pittsburgh bench now, and it's Jerry Wilson Frame who's being attended to at the end of the Pittsburgh bench. Tony's in a world of trouble, creates a little bit of space.
He's drinking a little Gatorade over there. I wonder if he's cramping.
McGowan's flying in there. And McGowan's was on the baseline when the ball landed in his lap, and working on the groin area, and he may be cramping up a little bit. It's not particularly warm feeling in here. Of course, we're sitting over here comfortably watching. Those guys are busting it out on the floor, so it's probably a little warmer for them. And if Pittsburgh can hang on to this lead, they'll come back and play tomorrow night against Jim Boeheim Syracuse Orange, and ball almost bounced right to me. I was in a ready shooting position too.
Yeah, you were. But you see the desperation that Boston College has to get the basketball in Kai Bowman's hand. Chris Herron, Jr., number 4 there in gray, can shoot the rock. And so he and Chapman are going to have to be aggressive here. Plenty of time left, Reese. They're only down 17 here with 5 minutes to go. But if you're going to go out, you got to go out being aggressive. You can't be passive. That was a passive play there.
That is not passive. McGowan's.
I'll tell you what, those two guards invite the contact, don't they?
They thrive on it, man.
Oh, my gosh. It's almost like they pause in the air once they feel the contact, find the rim, and just bounce it off the glass. I've been impressed.
Bowman was rising up for the 3, and he was fouled by City and Deer.
Folks, watch this drive by Trey. Watch this play by Trey McGowan's here. Cuts to the backside, receives the pass, and watch him. It's almost like once he feels the contact, he like freezes in the air. Watch this. creates the contact there, freezes in the air, ball, secures it just with one hand and able to get it up off the glass and in. That's ridiculous.
Use the off arm like a veteran, belying his freshman status to keep the big man away, create a little space.
As long as you don't throw it out.
Yeah.
As long as you keep it close to the body, it's a legal play.
Saw a move in the first half, too, where he used that little Stockton grab as he went by and grabbed the guy guarding him leg just briefly, just enough to sneak by.
Reese, I don't know why more ball handlers don't use that move because the referees never call it. You mentioned John Stockton. You know who's great at it was Vince Carter. Every time he got his shoulder pass, you can almost bet he's using that inside hand to kind of push you away from him to create more space.
It's probably to offset his lack of leaping ability.
Kid still can do a reverse East Bay 360. It's ridiculous. He's, 90?
Not quite that. He's 40 though, right?
Yes. At 40, I'd pull a groin if I even tried, even thought about trying to dunk a basketball like that.
Rattles out on Xavier Johnson, on East Tony. The offensive rebound for a shot clock. That's just fine. Jeff Capel across the way to 17-point lead here.
Yes.
He's smart. Johnson has his pass deflected out of bounds. It'll stay with Pittsburgh. And we're at our final media timeout. 3:59 separating Pittsburgh from a date in the second round with Syracuse.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by New York Life. We know that life doesn't fit into any one plan, so start a plan that flexes with yours. And Mountain Dew. Do the do.
Welcome to March.
Let the party begin. You can smile. You can celebrate. You're going dancing, my friend.
The biggest night of Champ Week presented by Principal begins Saturday at 6 on ESPN.
Pitt head coach Jeff Capel has participated in the ACC tournament as a player at Duke and assistant at Duke for 7 years, but this is his first time as a head coach in this tournament. He told me at the half it's a different feeling.
We had jitters, we had deer in headlights. First time for a lot of our guys, even me, as a head coach in this environment, so I thought we had some jitters.
The good thing for Capel, though, he's got his brother Jason at his side. What's interesting, though, guys, is last year Jason was at my side. He was working as a courtside reporter with me. He was on the ACC network. But it was shortly after the tournament when his brother was hired, and he got a text while Jason was actually on air. He was broadcasting the College Basketball Invitational. All the text said was, yo, but he knew it meant a lot more and that he was eventually going to head to Pittsburgh to be with his brother. And Jeff said he's the first person I reached out to because there's nobody in the world I trust more.
Well, Allison, the Capels, close to putting together a win here in the ACC tournament. And those two guys know the ins and outs of coaching. Jason has some experience as a head coach, obviously a terrific player at North Carolina. Jeff did a great job at VCU and Oklahoma as a head coach, as Terrell Brown trying to get some numbers in the book here before we say goodnight. Scored on the last two trips down the floor, and he'll have a chance to finish a three-point play for Pittsburgh. But the Capels do a good job recruiting, as evidenced by getting the two guards have dominated the game tonight late in the recruiting process, Xavier Johnson and Trey McGowens.
Yeah, they've been terrific. And again, when you're building from the ground up, especially in today's game, you have to go out and get yourself a good backcourt. And that's exactly what Jeff Capel has done with Xavier Johnson and Trey McGowens, who've been spectacular tonight.
Just over 3 minutes left to play here, and Jared Wilson Frame's going to be called for the foul as Jordan Chapman's going to the bench. There is Jerry Capel, and Jeff and Jason's mother. Of course, her late husband Jeff was a tremendous coach in his own right, a huge influence on both of their sons. And there's Jerry, all smiles.
Yeah, she's got to be a proud mama having both of her boys on the same bench. That is cool.
Jordan Chapman knocks it down. The entire coaching staff surrounded by Capels there. Jason on one side of him, Jeff at the end.
The bookends.
Yep. Boston College putting on pressure, desperately trying to come up with a miracle in the last 3 minutes. 16-point deficit.
How about 43 of the Pitt's 71 points have been scored by that freshman backcourt of Xavier Johnson and Trey McGowan's.
Conspicuous by his absence from the lineup is Kai Bowman, who's gone over to the bench. Popovich has a rebound and will bring it into the front court himself, showing off the handles and the three ball. Nick Popovich.
Come on. Cross that thing over, too.
And a jump ball. Possession arrow will keep it with the Panthers.
I love the fight by Boston College, not giving up.
Popovich now with 12 of his 18 in the second half. He scored 6 quickly out of the gate. BC got off to a good start in the opening moments, but certainly didn't finish the first half well. McGowan's bounce pass and the flush from Brown.
That's another thing that I've been impressed with those two freshman guards from Pitt is the idea of the next pass when they draw an additional defender. Ooh, that was a water off. That's an offensive foul by Chapman.
Chapman's a senior, has had his eye on law school.
Yes.
Give him a little break.
That's
there.
Right.
Huh? He knocks down the shot. 12-point game inside the 2-minute mark here to play in Charlotte.
Reese, we used to say as players, once you've played this many games into your freshman year, we considered you to actually be a sophomore in terms of experience, just because you have so much experience under your belt, and those two freshmen are playing like it tonight. Wow.
Jared Hamilton with the dunk, and just like that, finds 93 seconds left. It's only a 10-point lead for Pittsburgh.
Wait a minute now. You gave me that funny look when I said there's you gave me that funny look when I said there's plenty of time left in the game.
No, I didn't.
You sure?
I'm positive.
I think
you've been together all season. Now we're starting to bicker. Is that the way it goes? A 10-point lead. Kai Bowman over on the bench. And hey, look, Boston College has continued to fight us. Stefan Mitchell's fouled out with 2 points and 6 rebounds. But young team might have exhaled a little bit.
Yes.
With the big lead. Now we're going to have to finish it off here. Still rather, certainly, stating the obvious, rather be up by 10 than down 10 with 90 seconds left. But Pittsburgh will, barring utter catastrophe from their point of view, will move on with their second straight win. Going to win in the ACC tournament here, Jeff Capel's first year, and have a date with Syracuse tomorrow night if they can hold off BC for the last 90 seconds. McGowan's now with 23, Fonz.
Impressive. Both of those freshman guards have been just impressive on both ends of the floor, because those two primarily are the ones who kept Kai Bowman in check. Kai Bowman, 19 points per game, 4th in the league in scoring, 3 for 10 from the field, 1 for 5 from the three-point line tonight.
Strong take by Chris Herron Jr. to answer it. Still a 10-point lead. McGowan's picked it up. Almost a steal by Hamilton, and Wilson frame. Make him come and foul him.
Yep.
Johnson would enjoy going to the free throw line. He's a good shooter, and he will. Minute 5 left here. Pittsburgh going back to the free throw line. The two meetings that the Panthers had with Syracuse in the regular season, their presumed opponent, if they can finish off this victory. Tyus Battle went for 22 in the first time, and the second time Battle was held in check, just had 5, but it was O'Shea Brissett who went for 18 and 12. Now, I know sometimes Boeheim loves to lull you into shooting the three ball. This is not a good three-point shooting team necessarily for Pittsburgh. They shoot just under 33%. So those guards will have to drive that zone.
And then that last game against Syracuse, Pitt was 5 of 22 from the three-point line. So they got to play ahead of it. Missed shots, they can force missed shots, and even on makes, those guards got to get out and get in front of it. Try to get some early ones.
Boston College gets it back to single digits for the first time in a really, really long time.
Yes.
And back to the free throw line will go the Panthers. And it'll be McGowan, who has hit 8 of 10 from the charity stripe tonight, 24 points to lead all scorers, 2 more than Xavier Johnson. Make it 25. Well, McGowan has been a really tough guy, really from the moment he stepped foot on campus. First week of practice, he broke his nose, didn't miss a single thing, and hadn't missed a game because of it. He's, as a freshman, instilled some toughness along with Johnson. I was talking to Mike Schmitz, our NBA draft guru, about Kai Bowman, but he also mentioned that he feels like that Xavier Johnson's really starting to help his stock. Right now, still a guy you would anticipate would coming back, not really likely to be drafted this early in his career, but he's a guy, because of his improvement, his toughness, and the way he plays, has gotten some attention from NBA scouts, as Bowman has as well. As you see Jeff Capel working on there, and Bowman, who's been on the bench for the last few minutes. You mentioned it in the first half. Probably, should he decide that this is his final season and final game at Boston College, he'd be drafted in the second round.
Yeah, again, the Boston Celtics, they've shown some interest in him, been coming to see him actually quite a bit, but thought he'd be a late second round pick. And so I don't know if you leave when you're going to be a late second round pick. I mean, the guy has a bunch of areas of his game that he can improve, including his consistent three ball. And I think the college setting is a good place for him to be able to do that.
Start making those decisions. The personal situations come up, and the personal preferences. How, where are you in your life? How much do you enjoy where you are? Are you ready to take the next step? All of those types of things. Popovich lines up another 3. Chapman gets the rebound. Hamilton fighting in there for it. Goes back up, has it swatted away by Terrell Brown. Johnson was in a mess, uses a timeout with 37.1 to play. The first round about to be in the books here in the ACC Tournament in Charlotte. Plenty of games coming up. A full day of action on Wednesday. It'll start at noon Eastern time with Clemson and NC State, both teams among the last 4 in, according to Joe Lunardi. That will be followed by Miami and Virginia Tech. Hurricanes beat Wake Forest on a double-double from Anthony Lawrence. They will take on Buzz Williams and the Hokies. Hokies swept the regular season meetings. That starts at noon Eastern time. We touched on this earlier. You can't necessarily say Clemson NC State is definitively a play-in game, but what you know for sure is that the loser will have plenty of anxious moments between now and when the bracket is revealed on Sunday.
Absolutely. Again, both teams in kind of the mid-30s in terms of the net. What the NCAA uses as a tool for evaluating teams. But to your point, I would not want to be the loser in that game. You mean you are sweating it out for some days.
And with that new net ranking, which is a different metric this year, and certainly the committee has the ability to have a look at a number of different metrics. It's not as if they're just going to walk down the net rankings and say for sure these are the teams getting in. But it will be interesting to see some of the discrepancy between those and maybe the old system in terms of the decision the committee makes among the last 4 in. You see those two, TCU and Ohio State, and Indiana, which has had a Lazarus-like comeback from a disastrous run in the season, now among the first 4 out. Belmont, too, which fell in the OVC championship game to Ja Morant and Murray State, also, according to Joe Lunardi, sitting on the outside at the moment.
Yeah, Indiana is an interesting one because, of course, they've had a horrendous end to their season. However, they have wins against top 25 Marquette, 2 against Michigan State, and 1 against Wisconsin. So if you're talking about those coveted quadrant 1 wins, they have 4 big ones there.
Indiana and Ohio State might be a game on Thursday in the Big Ten that is very similar to the Clemson-NC State game that we'll have here in the ACC tomorrow when those two teams meet in the Big Ten on Thursday. Here, Pittsburgh appears well on its way to taking on Syracuse tomorrow. And boy, what a performance in their first ACC tournament game by Xavier Johnson and Trey McGowan. Here's Xavier Johnson.
Xavier Johnson got it going first in the first half, 14 points in that half, and he was terrific with the basketball, getting to the rim, getting into the painted area, making plays for himself and his teammates in the second half. Trey McGowan has been absolutely spectacular, knocking down a three ball there, but this is where he's at his best, at attacking the rim. And I was so impressed by the poise that both of them played with in this game. At one point had 43 points between the two of them. Now combined, do that quick math, 48 points in this game. 48 of the 79 points that Pitt has scored tonight has been scored by those two. They've been sensational in this game.
And when Pitt plays well, those two guys shoot a bunch of free throws. Now, I know a few of them here at the end have been, as Boston College has been trying to foul, but a lot of them came during the course of play during the game that was just a product of aggressive drives from both of them getting to the free throw line. I mentioned earlier in Pittsburgh's victory against Florida State, McGowan went to the free throw line 19 times, made 18 of them, and he's 10 of 12 tonight. While everyone's focused on Virginia, North Carolina, and Duke, rightfully so in this tournament, I would say be very wary of Florida State in this event.
Well,
the Seminoles are, as my buddy Lee Corso would say, they're kind of sneaking around the chicken coop. That's Lee's alma mater, too, by the way.
Well, what's interesting about it, Reese, is I wouldn't have thought so coming into the season just because they didn't shoot it very well. And in the half court, they weren't great. But all of a sudden, Fiondu Kabengele, their 6'10 center, has now become a go-to guy on the interior. So if they're not able to turn you over, if they're not able to get out in transition, now they have a guy who can give them some stability to the offense in the half court. You are right. Florida State is a very dangerous team.
They got the double bye. They play first on Thursday. They await the winner of tomorrow's game between Miami and Virginia Tech. 9-point lead. It's over 25 to go, and Xavier Johnson will go back to the free throw line as Chris Herron Jr. is called for the foul. Most know the story of Chris's dad, who has successfully overcome some terrible addiction issues and has made a tremendous impact on countless people by not only starting organizations to promote wellness and to overcome addiction problems, but also going around speaking. He was a terrific player, Chris Herron, in his own right. Started his career at Boston College, played at Fresno State, played professionally both in the NBA and other leagues. And he is a testament to being able to fight through adversity, even if some of the adversity was, you know, of his own decisions, but there were other issues, and he overcame them. He's made a difference in people's lives, and he's been around this program enjoying watching his son, who has had a very productive first year at Boston College. And Pittsburgh is going to finish off this victory, and they're going to move on to take on Syracuse. Pittsburgh, an 80-70 victory, avenging a regular season loss at the hands of Boston College, and the Eagles season will come to a close with a record of 14-17. And Kai Bowman, second-team All-ACC player, will have a decision to make about his future. So the second-round bracket is now set. Coverage will start on ESPN with North Carolina State and Clemson at noon Eastern, Virginia Tech, Miami, Louisville and Notre Dame on ESPN2 in the night session, followed by these Pittsburgh Panthers taking on Syracuse in the nightcap. For Allison Williams and LaFonso Ellis and our entire crew, I'm Reese Davis. Hope you've enjoyed our game tonight. Pittsburgh wins at 80-70. The New York Life ACC Tournament continues tomorrow at noon on ESPN. It was a good one. Not Kai Bowman's best night, but the Eagles fought to the end. But the Panthers march on. They get Syracuse next. We're saying good night from Charlotte.